Play ball. It's just frozen. Can someone give me a wave? Check it's not frozen. There we go. Can I have a wave from everyone who can hear me? Am I back in the room? Did I leave you for a minute? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Give me a wave if you can hear me. Yes, you can. Perfect. There's some people saying yes and smiling. Lovely. Let's go. All right. So let's share the screen. Share the screen. Here we go. You guys are all on this side. It's lovely to see you there. And I'm going to talk this way. Right, I can see you all. Can you give me a wave if you can see that PowerPoint with the person with neck pain grabbing their neck? Can you see that? Yep. Thumbs up if you can. No? I'm going to check what's going on. Loud and clear. Thanks, John. Perfecto. Right. I think it must be my computer going slow. There we go. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see that screen and hear me loud and clear? Amazing. Nothing can go wrong. I wanted to talk in Spain, and I got halfway through my talk looking at this perplexed audience to realize that the translator hadn't turned up. So nothing can be as bad as that. This will be just fine. So neck pain, let's get into it. How big a deal is neck pain? I want to start off by just sharing some simple facts. If you are struggling with discomfort in your neck, you're certainly not alone. The statistics are very similar to back pain. About 1 in 10 people are suffering with neck pain at any one point. And the cost combined with back pain to our economy is about 10 billion lost a year from discomfort of the spine that includes the neck. It is a huge, huge issue. And you would think with something that is such a burden on not only the economy, but the health system, there would be a better approach. So what I want to do tonight is try and show you a better approach and figure out exactly what we can do. But we have to understand really where it's coming from. Because if I was to ask you to think of a color that you have never seen before, it wouldn't be very possible. So if we don't really understand what we're thinking about, looking at, and trying to resolve, then we don't really know how to go about it. So we'll give a little introduction as to what neck pain is, why we get it, and then I'm going to finish up with some stuff that you can do to help yourself. And as I said, if you have any questions as we go through, please just jump in and ask. So, chat down. The main causes. 2 main causes of neck pain are poor posture. Does everyone recognize the picture at the top of this screen? That is daily life and injuries. Now, people come to me and say, well, I haven't had a car crash, Tom. I've never fallen off a horse or down any stairs. My question would be then, have you ever been a toddler? Have you ever been a child? Have you ever been a teenager? How many times did your body bump and fall and we didn't really notice anything at the time? You've all heard the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back. It's normally what happens when people end up at our door at Epoch. They've hit the final straw on the camel's back. And a lot of the issues can go all the way back from poor healing from an old injury that could have been as innocuous as this little child on your screen falling off their bicycle and just getting up with a scuffed knee and thinking everything is okay. So if I was to ask you this simple question and people say, well, I didn't have any pain after the car accident, or I didn't have any problems, when I was a kid growing up or falling over. If I was to ask you, and if you can get to the chat or just unmute yourself and ask, if I was to ask you what, you keep losing volume, Kim. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Back in the room. Okay. If I was to ask you what percentage of the nerves from your spine, what percentage of the nerves from your spine do you think are responsible for pain? What percentage of the nerves from your spine do you think are responsible for pain? You can either type that in the chat, or you can put your hands up for every 10% that you think it is. What percentage do you think nerves from the spine? Any ideas? 20% I've got down there. Yep. 70% I've got. Any advances? I've got 80 down in the corner. 10%. 10% of the nerves coming from your spine have anything to do with pain. Only 10%. How is that possible? If you think of your brain, it sits up here inside your skull and hopefully is controlling every single function of your body. The only way it gets that message to your body is through your spinal cord, through the nerves that travel down your spine. And the first part it has to go through is your neck. Now, you could have considerable injury to your spine and not feel a thing. The only way we know our spine is working right is to actually have it looked at. You know, when you go to the dentist for the first time, well, not for the first time, but the first time the dentist says to you, you've got some cavities coming on here. You're like, well, they were fine every other time I came to see you. But the process was building up over time. So these innocuous injuries and accidents over the years can really have an effect and build up to create the problem in the future. And the reason I start with that is it's very seldom one incident. And if we think that the problem has been there for years, for most people, decades, we have to go through a relearning and a retraining process when we go through the healing to get it fixed. It's not like turning the pain signal off. So these are our two main causes. One, we can't do anything about because we've had those traumas. But this guy on his phone on the sofa, I want you to burn that into the back of your retinas and think about it every single day when you adopt that position. Research has shown this position where his head has come forwards can reduce the blood flow to the brain by 60 to 80%. Reduce blood flow to the brain by 60 to 80%. Remember, your brain's controlling every function of your body. It's extraordinary the damage that it can do. And as I'm going to show you later, what happens is you put your neck forwards, is you're now putting the stress load on the wrong part of the spine, which leads to the acceleration of the degenerative process. Not an aging process, a degenerative process. So posture is huge. So let's think about what I think are the three main causes of the pain, why we actually get the pain mechanism in the neck. Facet irritation, which is a joint I'm going to show you in a minute, pinched nerves, and stenosis. So pinched nerves is the most common one that people associate with. If we think about our neck, and I'll probably just have to come off the screen share so you can see my camera better. Let's go here and stop the share. Hello, you lovely people. Can you see me in the middle of your screen now? Handsome face. It's been away for too long. So this is your spine, and you have 24 movable bones of the spine. The very top, your neck, there are 7 bones. That's what we're going to focus on and talk about this evening. I'll give you a quick hack. If you ever want to go to chiropractic college and relearn, there's one simple way you pass your tests. There are 7 bones in the neck, 12 bones in the mid back, 5 bones in the lower back. Easy way to remember that is we have breakfast at 7 a.m. We have our lunch at 12 and we have our dinner at 5. And there you go. Chiropractic school, easy. But let's focus on this neck, the 7 bones up here. The 7 bones protect the spinal cord. The spinal cord runs right down the middle of them from a hole in your brain, a hole in your skull called the foramen magnum. It means big hole. We then have these little nerves that come out of the side of the spine, the yellow things that you can see on the screen, and they come out at each level. Now, a pinched nerve can happen for several reasons. It can happen because there's a frank misalignment of the joint that creates a pinch, closes the space where that nerve runs through. They could happen because a disc has got a bulge, a bulging disc, or a disc herniation, or a slit disc. That can happen in the neck. But most commonly, They get pinched because there's poor movement of the neck, which creates inflammation and scarring around that area. And I'll show you the discs really happen because of the alignment. Stenosis is when we turn the spine right up top and we look right down the middle at the spinal cord. The spinal cord runs down a hole, and stenosis is where that hole becomes smaller. Now that can happen occasionally for misalignment, but quite often that's a wear process. Like calluses form on our heels and on our hands when we use them, the bone, if it's under stress for a long period of time, becomes thicker. The problem with the bone becoming thicker is the space for the nerve to come through becomes smaller. And then one of the most common causes of pain in the neck is simply what we call facet irritation. There are a couple of joints in the neck, and if I can try and show you on this one here, one of the joints is between the bone and the disc, but another joint sits at the back, that line there. You have them at each level, and they are facet joints. They are full to the brim of pain fibers. Pain fibers are also sensation fibers. Your body right now is screaming pain at you because you're all wearing clothes, but you're not registering it as a painful signal because it hasn't reached the threshold of pain. So these fibers in your neck, which are full of pain signals, are actually registering any movement that's happening. They're registering any touch that's happening. But if they become irritated to a certain level, then they reach a threshold, and that's when you get pain. Now, the problem comes if you've had pain for a long period of time, the nerves have become chronically irritated, that threshold can drop, which means you're much more sensitive to the pain. This is very common in the neck, very common in the neck. So this is where these little painful issues just build up and up and up and up and up, and it becomes more and more and more of an issue because something called neurodegeneration, you get that change in the threshold by where we register pain in the neck. And that can be very frustrating when you're going through tests and examinations and people are looking at you and going, well, there's nothing wrong here. It must all be in your head. And it's not the case. It's just very deep seated in the physiology of the spine. So facet irritation, pinched nerves and stenosis are the three reasons. Most commonly, it's that facet irritation, and I'm going to show you how that's related to posture and how you can change that. The pinched nerve can be injury, poor healing, and posture. The stenosis is a tricky one. The stenosis is you should have come to see me a few years ago. You can still do quite a bit with it, but it's harder. It's more tricky. Can I get a wave if everyone's still awake? It's such a beautiful evening. I'm so pleased that you're all in here. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So, is it serious? Not so much. I'll just share this screen with you again. It's going all the way. Is it serious? Not really. It's not really that serious. However, if you went into the house and all the fire alarms were going off, would you just walk around and take the batteries out because it's really bloody annoying? Excuse my French. Or would you say, well, hang on, why are these alarms going off? Maybe it's a warning sign. And remember, your brain is controlling every function of your body. The brain has to send the messages through the spinal cord to control every function of your body. And the vital organs don't start until when? Below the bottom of the neck, which means Every organ in your entire body is controlled by nerves that go through your neck. So if you have pain in the neck, it's not necessarily serious in the fact that it's chronic disease or some kind of nasty thing going on. But if left, it can have serious consequences on how the body is working, which is why we take it seriously. So what can you do? I'm going to show you 3 simple things that you can do to help yourself, because health and healing is not a complicated process. It's an over-complicated process. And the 3 things that you can do to help yourself are work on posture, reducing inflammation, and getting some help with alignment. So I'm probably not going to tell you much that you don't already know. But like anything in time, it takes time and repetition to make that difference. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. However, Rome was built by building every single day for a long period of time. And we have to do something every day for a period of time to make a difference. So I want to touch on inflammation first. Inflammation is that chronic, I'm talking about chronic underlying inflammation that will exacerbate any conditions that we have. So if we have an injury in our neck, if we have a problem with our neck, there's certain things that we will do in our lifestyle that will increase inflammation and therefore make the problem worse. Can anybody either type in the chat or unmute yourself, think of anything or things that might increase inflammation in your body? Any ideas what might increase inflammation in the body? Go ahead and type in the chat if you can. Stop the share there. We'll go to this one. Chat, any ideas? Poor diet and alcohol, absolutely. Infection, yeah, absolutely. Poor diet for sure. So the big one is diet. Now, really interesting, put infection there, because that's definitely true. If you've had a cold or a virus or a cough or something, then you notice that those pains increase because you have that underlying level of inflammation increase. But the main one really is our poor diet. I have an old injury in my spine, a fracture in the lower part of my spine. And if I deviate from my diet, or God forbid, as Tamsin has said there, enjoy a glass of cider, being a West Country boy, I will have a bad back for a week because I've increased the inflammation in my body. So yes, diet is the case, but what is it in diet that really increases inflammation? Very broad stroke, 3 things will increase inflammation in the diet. I like to call it the white plague. It's the white things: sugar, wheat, and dairy. Sugar, wheat, and dairy. Big pro-inflammatory things in the body. Nasty, nasty, nasty if we have it over time. The problem is we don't just have little bits of wheat, dairy, and sugar here and there, do we? Especially not in this country, because what do most of us have for breakfast? A bowl of good old-fashioned cereal, which is full of wheat covered in dairy and made delicious with sugar. Now, you might think, well, 1 bowl of cereal is not going to harm me, Tom. But remember we talked about the straw that broke the camel's back? And if that's a daily thing, every single day we're drip feeding that nasty stuff into our body, over time, it just creeps up that level of inflammation, which just brings everything to the surface. And then you're going there, well, I'm doing all my exercises, I'm doing my stretching, I'm getting adjusted, and I still got this pain. Is there an undertone of inflammation that we need to take care of? So those are the 3 main nasties. And what are some things that you can do to reduce inflammation? So yes, we can eliminate or reduce those things from our diet, but there's also some stuff that you can do to help reduce that. A couple of things would be increase your hydration, your water intake. Omega-3s, so really good essential fatty acids, good quality omega-3s. And something like magnesium is really quite good to combat some of those issues, especially in the neck, and relaxing those muscles off. So some simple things that you can add, but you cannot supplement a bad diet. And it's really, really key that that is focused on if the problem is not getting under control relatively quickly. So wheat, dairy, and sugar, poor nutrition will dramatically affect inflammation in the body, and inflammation is just a soup that keeps the problem going. The next one would be posture. Now, this is something you can dramatically work on yourself today and from now on, working on posture. The number one thing was back to that person you saw at the beginning of the presentation with his head down. Remember, if you were to pick up a heavy object, the further you take it away from your body, the heavier it starts to feel. So if your head is coming forwards and down, the heavier it's going to feel. And the wisdom that designed your body did not design your body to have your head facing the floor, because when we actually look at the anatomy of the spine, we're meant to put the load on the joints at the back. This is the back of your head. This is where your face is. We're meant to put the weight on the joints at the back and not on the discs at the front. Discs are not meant to take any shock absorption of the spine, despite what we've been told. They are there to allow motion and movement in the spine. So with a nice curve in your neck, the pressure is on the right joints and the discs are free to move. Now, if I've spent years like this, pressure moves off those joints and onto those discs. Now the discs start to wear out. The discs start to have extra pressure on them. So they might start to bulge and push out and herniate and sequestrate or slip for a lay term. Pressure like that for too long will start the degenerative process, and these bones at the base of the neck will wear. Nearly every patient who comes in with a neck problem goes, yeah, I've had it looked at, it's my C5, C6. I've been told it's my C5, C6. That's because C5, C6 is at the bottom of the neck and takes all the stress. And then they say, oh, I've been told it's my age. It's C5, C6, it's my age. Cool. But surely C4, 3, 2, and 1 and C7 are the same age as C5 and C6. So it's certainly not your age. It's the alignment, it's the posture over a long period of time that's created the problem. So some simple things that you can do to improve your posture. Number one, look where you're going when you're walking. Don't look at the floor. Everybody knows that. Mobile phones, if we are to use them, limit the amount of time that we are on them. But if we use them, instead of looking down, look up. Computers. When we have our computer screen, we should have the bottom of the computer screen in our eye line, not the top. Very commonly, occupational health will set it up with the top there. Nothing wrong, that's just how they've been shown. But what happens is, if you are looking straight ahead with your eyes, or ever so slightly downward with your eyes, you stimulate neurologically all the muscles on the front of your body, which will naturally pull you forwards. Whereas if you look ever so slightly up, neurologically you stimulate all the muscles of your back, which will pull your posture open. So if you put the bottom of your computer screen in your eye line, you are naturally inclined to look up ever so slightly. So if you have a desk job, it's really key that you do that. The simplest way around it is to get some boxes or something, like anything you got to put it on the house, books, it doesn't need to be anything special, and buy a cheap wireless keyboard and mouse. And that setup will really, really help your posture. Same thing goes for TV screens. If they're on the opposite side of the living room and you're looking down at them, again, you're naturally putting your head forwards. Remember, it's sustained pressure over time that creates the problem, not just a one-off incident. So we all know posture's bad. We all used to think it was that, it's become so common to have bad posture, now we're calling it normal, which is ridiculous. So little things that you can do will really make a difference. Lifting your computer screen up, lifting your phone up. If you're sitting like me and you love to read, put some cushions on your lap to rest the book on when you read, as opposed to cranking your neck over. Little things, long time, big difference. And then the other thing that needs to be done and thought about is alignment. Alignment of the neck is key. We are essentially symmetrical human beings. Symmetrical so we can distribute our load evenly. If we have asymmetry for a period of time, we'll now get an uneven loading on the spine, and over time, we'll create more wear on one side than the other. Simple things you can do for alignment is checking that everything that you're doing and using is directly in front of you. If you've caught yourself out of alignment working on a job for a period of time, you can march on the spot and try and bring your body back into some level of symmetry. But it's very hard to see exactly where the alignment is and what's going on unless the spine is looked at. And that's where the most of the help and work comes from to get it resolved and get it fixed. So neck pain essentially is quite simple. The reason it is complex to get on top of and help people with is the amount of underlying habits that breed into it. So it's being very aware. So I encourage you to spend the next week really, really consciously thinking about everything that you're doing and trying to improve them. The difficulty happens when we start to think too much. We try and hold our body too rigidly in the right place, which gives us even stiffer neck. So it's just trying to be very self-aware and seeing where you can make those small, little improvements, sustain that for long enough, and that will make the difference. So I hope that helps. Some little bits to go on. I know it's simple, but it will make a difference. I am happy to answer any questions that anybody's got on neck pain or what we do in general. Just before I do, in case people want to leave, just wanted to let you know about a couple of things coming up. We have one of our free posture assessments happening again on the 21st of May. That's a Saturday morning. So if you know anyone who wants the posture assessed properly, we're doing those free posture assessments in-house at Epoch. They can be booked online or with the team. And I've also got a workshop on Thursday next week. So Thursday evening at 7 p.m, Get Results Faster workshop. So if you're interested in doing any more to help yourself, then I'm running that workshop in-house at Epoch, which is super exciting. It's our first live event for 2 years, or maybe even 3 years now, which would be really exciting. So if you are free, then you can book on that, I believe, on our website, but also in-house. So I just realized I'm showing you stuff that's not even on your screen. So anyway, on the 12th of May, Thursday evening next week, there's a Get Results Faster workshop if you're interested. And on the 21st of May, there is a free screening for anyone with poor posture. Tamsin, was that a hand in the air there, or was it a foot in the air for a question? It's a foot in the air. Does anybody have any questions on what we've been through this evening? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or type in the chat box. Any questions about anything? Oh, this is going to be easy if no questions. Wait a minute in case there are. No? Tamsin coming in for one.
Thursday, Tom, what does next Thursday entail?
Thursday? Great question. So the Get Results Faster workshop is, we used to run an orientation twice a week, every week for people starting care. And it essentially tells you everything to expect from care and what you can do to accelerate your journey through. So more detail on things like the physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that we can work on to help ourselves with care, what to expect, and then a bit of Q&A at the end. So it's really for those who really want to invest in getting their health better by doing the stuff themselves at home. It's a really great workshop for that. It's free. It'll be run the second Thursday of every month to start off with until people are more comfortable coming in-house. But then we'll be to have it weekly again. So I hope that answers your question, Tamsin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I hope you all catch a lovely sunset. Have a great evening. I'll see you all soon or next week, those who are in. But remember, it's little things, long time. One question's just come in. Neck pain, can it cause headaches? Absolutely. The majority of headaches are from the neck. The referral from the neck causes the majority of headaches. And there was a headache webinar done recently. So if you do want information on that, we're going to email you following this webinar anyway. So feel free to email back if you want more information on the headache webinar too. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you ever so much for joining me, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.